What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got a little bit of Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition gameplay for you guys. I used to play this game a long time ago. Well, not that long, like a couple years back. And I got to the point where I was watching Viper and some other famous players play. I never got super good at the game. With that being said, I do want to improve. I don't have a lot of time to play video games, but it's still super fun when I do have time. And I want to play some ranked games and try to improve at the game, so we'll go ahead and find a match. I'm super low on my score. I think I'm in the 800s, but I do have some build orders down a little bit, and I understand how to counter some units. With that being said as well, for you guys that have never heard of this game, it's a strategy based game. You start at the Dark Age and you go into Feudal and then Castle Age, and eventually you hit Imperial Age. And within each age, as you level up ages, you can create better units to fight your opponent once you find where your opponent is at on the map. You also have villagers that scout not scout, but they collect food. They can mine gold, stone, or chop wood and collect those 4 different resources, which will allow you to build things like stables and archery ranges and such. And you can mass produce armies to attack your opponent. It's a very strategic type game, so if you guys enjoyed that type of content, go ahead and stick to watch the video. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and jump to when I start the game. Alright, we have Britons against Mongols. I'll be blue against red in Arabia. It's a very open map, very difficult, and like I said, I'm fairly new at this, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, I tried to play the game and commentate at the same time. It was very difficult. I found myself making a lot of mistakes because I kept trying to talk. So on this one, I'm just going to commentate over the gameplay and explain my thought process as the game went on. For the future games, I can commentate while I play. If you guys would rather me do that, just let me know. With that being said, once again, let's go ahead and start. So for you guys that are new at this, these are villagers. I built 2 houses right from the get-go, and I bring my pigs over to my town center. Your villagers can create houses or other buildings. Houses increase my population cap. Here at the top it shows 5 out of 15. So as I build houses, I can create more units. They're currently collecting food. On the top left of my screen, you guys can see there's 4 different resources that my villagers can collect. Each resource allows me to create certain units or buildings. And I'm currently in the Dark Age. So I'm currently just using my pigs to scout out the map, as well as my scout, my horse, as I create more villagers. And as I scout out the map with my pigs and my horse, eventually you want to try to find your opponent on the map. That way you can attack him or scout out what he's doing. So the goal at the beginning is to try to advance into Feudal Age. Here I had some downtime because I was scouting with my pigs. That's a very noob mistake to make. And I have these 2 villagers going and creating a lumberjack camp so they can collect wood. So I like to start with 6 on pigs. Take my next 4 to wood. This is an Arabia map and it's very open. So I like to use Britons, which is the current civilization I'm using, to create archers, just because they have very good archers. So as you guys can see, I'm scouting out the map with my scout, trying to see more of the map, which is this bottom right here. Everything's black. And as I do that, you're assigning these villagers to create or to collect certain resources. If any of you guys have never played this game, it's super fun. A very strategic game. So I'm using this villager now to create a mill so I can start collecting these berries, which collects more food. Anyways, the whole purpose of the early games is to try to establish a good enough economy to advance into the Feudal Age, where you can create better units to attack your opponent. So I have 6 on pigs, 4 on wood. The next few I put on these bushes. And you can see right now I'm at 14 out of 15 on my population. So here's the opponent's scout, and I just got housed. So I want to create another house because I'm housed, which means I can't create any more units. Very, very noob mistake, and that happened because I was trying to commentate over my gameplay. So I saw that the enemy scout came through here, so he's already located my base. So I'm sending my scout now farther out so I can try to spot where he's at on this dark map on the bottom right. So very basic understanding of what's going on the screen. The bottom right is our scores. He's currently way ahead of me in score because he's probably scouted up the map better. I lured this boar under my TC and I kill it so I can collect food closer to my TC. Cuts down time from the villagers walking back and forth. It's all about efficiency. You want to have very efficient gameplay so you can get a lead on your opponent. And I'm very new at this game, so as you guys can see, it's not very good. It's pretty sloppy, but hopefully I can improve. I think I have a pretty good foundation of how the game functions at least. And you can see right here my scouts scouting out the map so I can try to spot where he's at. I messaged him here, asking him how he's so far ahead on score, and it's because he's scouted better than I have. See, he just answered me. Just kind of, you know, small talk. He's a complete random stranger. I've never played with him before, but it's always fun to have small talk. So here I locate where he's at on the map. I steal one of his pigs, bring it back over to my area, and I locate his town center, which is good. But because he started shooting at me, I moved my horse away from his town center, all while I'm assigning villagers to certain locations and having them do certain things back at my base. And here's where I messed up. I stopped looking where my scout was at because you can assign where he moves and then move back away, and he stalls right there. I didn't notice that. And he proceeds to eventually attack me with his villagers. So my scout's just sitting over here on the map while I'm working on my base. And as you guys can see, he brings them over and starts attacking my scout, which makes me lose my scout. That's very bad because now I can't scout the rest of his base out. And that's something that pro players typically don't do. They don't lose their scout very easily because your scout is key to giving you an edge on what your opponent is doing. So right now I'm luring the second boar around my base. I go ahead and kill him, collect the rest of that food. And once I hit around 21 villagers is when I typically like to go up into feudal. So if you guys see, I'm already going up into feudal at 21 villagers. I have 3 on gold. Usually only do 2, but because it's Arabia, I put more on gold so I can create archers right away since I am Britons. Every civilization, like I said, has a strength and a weakness. Britons are very good archers, like I said earlier. And I was just kind of messing around with him. I told him, "Are you a pro or whatever?" and called him Viper. Viper's a very famous AOE player. He got the joke and put on the AO. Right away, I create a barracks, click up into feudal. And as soon as I hit feudal, I want to drop 2 more buildings so I can go up into castle eventually. For you to advance from feudal to castle, you have to have 2 feudal age buildings placed on the map. So I go up, my wood is fairly low, but I have enough to create an archery range and a blacksmith. So those 2 are my 2 feudal age buildings. That way when these are done, once I have enough food, which is 800 and 200 gold, I can go up into Castle Age. Castle Age is a very good age where you can create quite a bit of powerful units to attack your opponent. Typically there's a lot of fights that go on when you're in Castle Age, and if you can eventually hit Feudal Age, that's even better. So right here, he brings some scouts forward. I noticed that earlier, so I started creating a spearman right away. And I used my villagers to attack his scout to defend my base. And then with this spearman, I attacked that scout. Spearmen have a very good attacking advantage against scouts, so it's a perfect counter unit for scouts or horses in general. I did lose 1 or 2 villagers there, which is bad, but I got his scouts to go away. So right away, because of his harassment, I don't know if he had any downtime or not. I'm just commentating on my gameplay. But I pushed away his harassment, which is good. And with that, now I'm trying to look forward into going up into Castle Age from Feudal. That way I can create better units. So I am creating some archers because I am Britons. And because he attacked me with scouts, I assumed that he had a stable down, obviously, because he created more than that initial scout that he was using to scout out the map. And I created more spearmen so I could push with them just in case he did have many more scouts in his base. That was my thought process there. So I went ahead and clicked up into Castle, and I used these 4 units to start harassing him. 2 archers and 2 spearmen, with a couple more archers following. That way my spearmen can counter his scouts, and there you go. He had more scouts on the map. So right away we kill his scouts because we have the better units, the spearmen. And I push with these units. So as I'm pushing here, I see his stable, which is, like I said, we knew he had because he had more scouts, right? And I start trying to harass his villagers. But right here, I noticed that he was creating an archery range. So right away, I assumed, well, if he's going to create an archery range, I got to come back to my base and create some skirms, which I eventually do because I scouted out his archery range. So I didn't think I was going to be able to harass him much more. Typically, I would have kept trying to harass, but because I'm fairly new at the game, it's very hard to harass and control your base at the same time. But like I said, we got skirmers being created, and I went up into Castle. So right now, I'm in Castle, and he's still in Feudal Age, and that's when he says you're a pro, just as a joke. I'm like, definitely not a pro, but I knew I had an advantage being into Castle Age way before he was. The reason that's very good is because in Castle Age you can create more town centers, which allow you to create villagers twice as fast. Feudal, you can only have 1 town center. If you have more villagers, you can, in return, have a better economy behind your army, which will allow you to produce more units and put more pressure on the map. So here, I had quite a bit of units down. I did believe I researched a couple of things on my blacksmith, so I made my archers a little bit stronger. And I started trying to harass them. The reason this is so important is because these villagers have downtime, so when you harass, it allows your villagers to get ahead on the economy. And this is when the game really started to turn around. I harassed them quite a bit, and with that, it allowed me to eventually get ahead. So back on my base, at this point I dropped that 2nd town center down so I can start creating more villagers. I should have done this sooner. And I also put some villagers on stone. I do that so I can collect enough stone to drop a castle. You need 650, I believe, stone to create a castle. And you can only create a castle when you're in Castle Age. So here on the map, I'm putting more pressure on him. And trying to boom up a little bit back in my base, get my economy ahead. And because I did get a house, I created another house and another one. And usually in pro gameplays, you'll see people will wall off with their buildings. So here he starts trying to use his villagers to attack me. That's a very sloppy gameplay by both of us. I take out his skirms and I start attacking his villagers. At this point I was just trying to kill as many villagers as I could. I try to pick off the ones that are low. But I do lose quite a bit of units as well. Very, very sloppy gameplay. But in my opinion, I thought it was worth it because it caused a lot of downtime for him. So you see here I have that second town center, so I'm trying to boom up. And my whole idea at this point was try to get more pressure on the map with either a castle. I noticed that I was still ahead in castle age, and I really start trying to close that, keep pushing that gap from castle age, and he was still in feudal. Here I try to get up on the hill because you have an attack advantage on the hill, so my scrims are a lot stronger than his. And once again, just harassing. My next game, I'll definitely try to not talk as much, and I'll try to do the gameplay as I play. That way you guys can see it live instead of just commentating over it.
Ready.
So you see I'm still creating more units for pressure. I have this second town center with a bit of farms. It's very sloppy here. I should put a lumber camp down, that way they're walking less distance. But because I was putting pressure on him, it was very hard to try to focus on my town centers as well. That's something I definitely have to improve on.
Yay.
So at this point I have spearmen and skirms, and I just keep trying to harass. So I noticed that he had this pretty safe right here because this town center, so I try to scout up top, try to wrap around, and this is when I noticed this whole other little village that he has going on right here. So I try to harass this wood line on this side of the map at this point. You guys can see I have quite a bit of gold, stone, and this is when I notice he goes up into castle. So at this point he's in the same age as me, so that means I need to do something with that advantage I had to try to pressure him more. And this is when I really pushed for more stone. Put another villager on stone, so I can try to get enough for that castle and drop a forward castle on them.
Mandatum.
Castles are very strong buildings because one, they attack other buildings. Two, they have a lot of health, so each building right here has health or hit points, right? And three, each civilization can create a special unit, and that comes from their castle.
Yay.
So Britons, like I said, they have very good archers. Their castle creates longbowmen, and longbowmen, I believe, with all the upgrades to them, have the longest distance of any unit on the map. So here I noticed that I try to put a lot on wood on both sides and gold, and because I knew I was going to hit stone very quickly, I bring these villagers forward so they can start building a castle and put some more pressure on my opponent.
Yay.
So these villagers are wrapping around this way, so I can try to drop a castle somewhere over here, preferably closer to his town center, but I don't think I was going to be able to get too close. So I believe I dropped it right here, and simultaneously I'm putting pressure on this part of the map to try to push his focus away from these villagers.
Ready.
Very sloppy there, so I start attacking him, and I bring these archers forward eventually as well.
Ready.
Take out his skirms there. Skirms counter archers. This is just sloppy gameplay for me. I should be putting pressure on his villagers. But while I do that, I drop this castle. I also build houses around it so he can't attack me while I'm building this. And at this point, I felt like I was pretty confident that I was going to win this. When I get housed right here, I proceed to build the rest of these houses so I don't have to get housed. Bring these archers forward. And he notices this castle, so he tries to bring this knight around. I end up just killing the knight, and like you see, the knight can't get in because of these buildings. And I end up placing this castle down. So now the next goal is to keep harassing him or try to go up into Imperial Age. But at this point I had a pretty good economy behind my wood and my gold. So I was just massing my archers to try to put more pressure on him.
Mandatum.
I have 11 archers right here, and I start
Ready.
trying to pick off some of his units. I pick off quite a bit of villagers, I think, here, maybe 3 or 4. And I
Yay.
proceed to come in and harass them. And as you see, I can
Mandatum. Ready.
keep pushing with more
Ready.
archers. Because my economy is solid behind this push. I
Grayton?
use these villagers that built this castle to start trying to collect more gold.
Yay.
And keep more gold and wood behind these archers so I can keep producing more. So archers cost wood and gold to create, and that's why I have quite a bit of archers on gold, or not archers, on villagers on gold as well as wood.
Mandatum.
So he's trying to counter me with skirms, which is a good idea, but because he has so little of them, my archers still tend to do quite a bit more damage. Very
Yay.
sloppy by him to just waste those skirms. You typically want to mass a bit more before you push into a large army like this. So he moves these villagers away. I choose not to push
Ready.
to chase them.
Mandatum.
I try to harass on this side of the map. So at this point, I see that my score is way higher than his. I knew my lead
Ready.
was pretty big, and I choose not to push into this just because of these town centers. And I noticed this castle there. So he laid down a defensive castle right here, which is very smart.
Yay.
And I can't push against a castle with archers
Mandatum.
because they do a lot more damage. You see here, damage, their hit points.
Yay.
There's certain units that are very good against buildings, and archers are not one of them. So I pull my
Mandatum.
archers back, and I believe to try to wrap around this way to try to pick off more units. And I start.
Ready. Mandatum.
That's
Yay,
a
ready.
petard, I think that's how you say it. They blow up buildings. They do a lot of damage to buildings.
Mandatum.
And at this point, I saw I had enough food and gold to click up into Imperial Age. And I'm very
Yay.
confident at this point I was going to win this game. I don't think he had the economy behind his army or the economy in general to go up into
Ready.
Imperial Age. It's very expensive to do so. And I had a huge army
Yay.
here. He wasn't pushing against it, so at this point I felt confident enough to click up into him.
Mandatum.
And I keep harassing his villagers. I pick off quite a bit here as well. And I was surprised he didn't GG yet.
Ready.
Yeah, so I was way ahead on score. I had a lot bigger army.
Mandatum.
Unless he mass skirms or something, I didn't think he was going to get close to winning this game. I just caused a lot of downtime on his economy, and I had a lot of pressure on the map.
Ready.
Didn't have a lot of villagers idle either,
Grayton?
which is really good. They're all constantly working. And if you look on the mini map, I mean, I'm sitting at a pretty good place here. So we're about, let's go back to the TC. We're about 78% into Imperial Age at this point.
Yay.
I should have put more pressure on the map, maybe build some siege. You can use rams to take down buildings.
Ready.
That's sloppy of me because
Yay.
I just assumed I was so far ahead that he wasn't going to harass me back. And I start creating knights because I felt
Ready.
like if he was ever going to counter my archers with skirms, I could use my knights to attack him back. But you see here, I advance into Imperial Age, and right away I start building a trebuchet. These are perfect to attack buildings from far away. I was going to use that one in particular to take out this castle or take out this castle. And that's what we call GG. I don't think it says easy dub for you. And there we have it. So I'm sitting at 800 on ranked, I believe, which is fairly low. If you guys like this type of comment, or content, I mean, I'll go ahead and keep putting out more content, more gameplay of this. You guys can drop a like, subscribe. If you guys have any suggestions on what I can do better, I'd love to hear from you guys. This is super fun game. It's very strategic, like I said, and I really enjoy this type of games.
Yay?
Here's a look at the map. I was gonna drop the second castle up here to harass this side of the map. I was harassing from this side. Had some units down here I did not know about. But he called GG, didn't think he was gonna come back from this, and there we have it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.